Greetings and salutations to all you out there on the interwebs. This is the September Heraldic Decision Meeting for the Kingdom of Meridies. I am your host, Senor Carlos Blanco El Barbero, Penn Herald. With me tonight are some wonderful heralds.
That's one way of putting it.
I wouldn't call us wonderful, but
your Lordship Ulrich, why don't you go ahead and start off the introductions?
Hey everybody, I'm Ulrich Eisenhand. I am the Cipher Pursuivant, which is internal submissions for the Kingdom of Meridies.
Matthias?
Hello, I am the Honorable Lord Matthias Blackett. I am Torch Herald in charge of courts and precedents.
And Lucian.
Hi, I'm Lord Lucien d'Artois. I am the Lambent Herald responsible for Kingdom Commentary.
And I'm sure as we go along the way, we'll have a few more people popping in. All right, but let's get started. We have two letters actually this month, so we're going to be covering them both.
So many items. All the items.
It's actually not that bad, but
by comparison, so far this month I have one submission.
Oh wow!
Next meeting is going to be quick.
I made it.
Yep.
Hey!
Hey, just give your introduction.
Hi, I'm Bronwyn Ogibweli, and I am the White Antelope Herald, and I'm a herald at large. Currently.
Now, my current plan is when we do send this up to society, I'm going to combine them into one letter.
That makes sense, since they're both being discussed at the same time, and
now, granted,
they're not huge, so
that second letter is kind of stacked against us, Lucian.
So, all right. So,
they're not stacked against me. I
was running late. I was a little afraid I wouldn't be able to get on, but it doesn't seem like the chat is filled up yet.
No,
I think they're intimidated.
You
by the
think?
fact of this letter, the fact that there's two of them.
Let's start off with Amina Alrea. It's a resub device. The reason why it was returned was because the society believed it obscured too much of the line of division of the field. And from the looks of what she's done here, it looks like that the redraw definitely solves that problem. You see a whole lot more of the line of division. And
I'd agree.
And the chevron looks to be about equally placed. So I think she resolved the issue. And I think she may actually it may actually be good this time.
yeah, and she removed the bottom three leaves, which
Yes, that was which gives it a more two-dimensional look.
yeah.
Thank you, Lucian. Yeah,
Because the reason it got returned at Kingdom before was because of that, and so
because I remember the original one had a dragonfly actually landing on it, and it had a very, very, very three-dimensional look to it.
Yes, I recall that.
So
This is much improved.
yeah, it looks very, very much more heraldic constructed. So so that's going to be an easy one.
And I think that goes straight up.
So we're going to go straight on to number 2, Avalon Dale. This one, they want no major changes.
So they want that same spelling and...
Mm-hmm. They want that same...
As far as I can tell, both of those spellings are perfectly acceptable.
yeah, the name documentation, I'm looking at it now, and that checks out, so we're good to go on that.
But the only thing that we came close to one name, but I believe removing the definitely by removing the Lee,
Yes.
that it would definitely not conflict.
Yeah, because that's Lede, so you have two differences on the last name, so we should be fine.
And they were also saying that the SEA heraldry link that they used is definitely a safer link for the spelling of Dale.
And well, the given names are variants of the same name, so that wouldn't be any different, just a different spelling. But the surname, I think, clears it.
Yeah. All right. So. We'll send that up to society as well.
Now comes the fun.
Yes. Evelyn Loveday, we have a device change. The problem that we're having here is that tiger stripes are something that is a blazonable piece of art.
Because it's a natural tiger.
Yeah, and because of that, we have extended past the complexity count. We have a complexity count of 9.
Right.
Ooh.
Which means that the only thing that would save this that I can see would be to either change the tertiary charges to Azure or to change the field to Procure, which would then just make it borderline.
Right.
Well, you could also change the
stripes,
the tertiaries to Sable, or the stripes to Purpure or Azure.
You're right. I stand corrected. We need to change the tincture of either the tertiaries or the fields.
Yes.
Yeah, one of the tinctures has to be changed to match one of the other tinctures. Otherwise, we got too many.
Yeah. So probably
things.
Probably the easiest one I can see is changing the tertiary charges to Azure.
Yes.
That would probably
Or
be
Sable.
the one that would be closest. The change that I can see that would be closest to what she has here. That's just my 2 cents.
So without, yeah, so we're definitely going to have to send this one back for over complexity. And
it's a quick fix for what it's worth for this.
Yes, it is.
For the submitter.
Yes, for the submitter.
In fact, they can use the original line drawing and just recolor it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So I may even go ahead, and contact the submitter as well, and say, hey, listen, we're going to have to send this back unless, well, no, because then we would have to make sure there's not conflict once she changes the coloring.
That's correct.
I have a feeling that given the overall complexity of it already, that you're probably not going to find any conflicts, even if you change some colors around.
Okay.
That's he's probably right, but we wouldn't want to take a chance on that.
Yeah, I don't want to say, hey, to send this up to society, we got to change the color. We change the color, and then it ends up 6 months coming back because, we found a conflict. So it may be safer.
It's better to have a 1 month delay than a 6 month delay.
Correct. That's my thinking on this one. So we'll go ahead and. I hate to do it because I remember her original artwork, her original device, and everything, and it went through a couple of iterations before we actually got it passed.
So she is at least amenable to some changes?
Well, if she wants her thing registered, she will be.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and carry on to number 4. Berengaria?
Berengaria. De Montfrere.
A new name and new device. So we'll start with the name. Use both Both sites are from the no photocopy list.
And
Everyone-
they checked out.
And
Yeah, it's a
docs
nice
checked
one.
out. So we know the name. We know the name is safe. So let's go ahead and go to the device. Or a lily of the valley, argent, slipped and leaved, Bert, and on a chief azure, 2 tablets, passant, passant. Or we had a little coloring problem with this one. I took the original artwork, played with it a little bit, and then another person, a Katla, went and did another one, which I have to admit I like a little bit more. I like better than mine because I
It
like.
looks more like a natural lily of the valley than the original artwork.
Yes, a lot more bells on it. So
Is it just me, or does the original one only have the line drawing and the color? There's only 2 images. For
No,
the-
I see 3. But
Yeah.
the color corrected image on the far right of mine appears to have 4 leaves and stems on the lily of the valley.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because I'm not even seeing the color corrected.
The color correct has all of the yellow parts is orange and all of the
Oh
green
wait,
parts is
it
yellow.
showed up now finally.
it just being a little slow. But yeah,
Yeah,
it was.
that is weird.
Yeah, that's it. It was all kind of out of whack for heraldic
like-
coloring.
Orange and not yellow, and
So I think what we'll do is we'll go with. I'm gonna submit Catlas to the.
Has the submitter agreed to the redraw? Does she like it?
No, I don't know if she has seen it yet. So I will send. I'm going to send her an email with it and give her a call and let her know to check her email. So
yeah, the redraw that Katla did looks much better than the original
Yeah.
version.
Siegfried!
Greetings.
Siegfried, you there?
We cannot hear you.
He said hello on the group chat, so he must not be mic'd up.
Okay.
Evidently not.
all right. So we're gonna. So the name is. I'll put that down. The name is good. Submission requires. All right, moving along to number 5. Or, no, I'm sorry.
Well, 4 is just
4.5.
an administrative one, so we don't really need to do anything with that.
So number 4 is, but how do I have, oh, a second.
Although Master Alexander made a good point that the letter starts as a blanket permission and ends as a release, so they might want to.
So what's going on?
Somebody might want to contact the submitter and say, "Hey, are you trying to give random permission to conflict or release the armory
It
itself?"
says it's new blanket permission to conflict and new blanket permission to conflict. So,
Yeah. Probably permission to conflict with the name and permission to conflict with the armory.
Yes.
But then right after that, it says, "I understand the release of registration is permanent," which is
Yes.
not
yeah,
what
that's
you're trying to
definitely-
do.
And this is what I'm finding weird is I don't know what Oscar did here, but we have 2 number 4s.
Huh.
I've only got 1.
Really? Okay, Oscar's really being weird.
Oh wait, no, you're right. Berengario is 4 also.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying the next one is 4. I was like, no, the next one's 5. But yeah,
And this particular administrative action is out of order alphabetically.
It
yeah,
is.
it is.
I noticed that when I was putting everything together. I missed the numbering thing.
That's strange. Oscar's having a little hissy fit.
It happens from time to time.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I think I understand what the administrative thing is trying to do. Basically, it's just saying that their spouse died, and so they're saying because their spouse died, they should. Because their spouse died, they're saying that anybody can now conflict with their arms, and they don't have to. We don't have to worry about conflicting with somebody who's passed.
Right, because you can't get letter or permission to
You
conflict.
can't get permission to conflict.
So he's putting it in a blanket one.
Putting a blanket, anybody can conflict with these arms.
But then again, we still have I understand that release of registration is permanent.
Well, according to what Siegfried's saying in the text chat over on the side,
Thank you.
is in fact releasing these items. And that's how I understood it too, but where it started off as blanket permission to conflict up in the very beginning of everything.
And he also says, I hereby give blanket permission to conflict with his name, arms, and name.
Right.
So,
Now, I understand that this release, that release of registration is permanent, may just be part of the boilerplate. Because she doesn't appear to be releasing anything.
Hold on, I'm going to check the appendices here.
It just says that there was a legal spouse and he died. I give blanket permission to conflict. There is no statement that this is released.
That's how you know.
Hey.
Maybe they're thinking that
I don't know. I just don't see anywhere in there that she actually gives permission for this to be released.
right.
Well,
Yeah, I'll definitely contact the submitter because I mean I can see where that language right there would
it's confusing.
make Laurel go back and forth a little bit.
Yeah, they might kick it back because it's confusing, and then they'll have to wait another 6 months. So, better to get some clarification now. And
So I'll contact the submitter. It shouldn't be too hard. So we have number 5, Bertram D. Blossom. New name and new device.
I was really surprised to find no conflicts with something this simple, but
And the name documentation checked out.
Name documentation has checked out. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I checked the link, and I was looking at this. I looked this up in Rainey and Wilson earlier today, and it's all good.
All right, so we'll move on to the device then, which is vert and pale, 3 rabbits, quaternary, argent, and on a border or. No one really found anything it conflicted with. Michael Gerard says, that with this one, it's multiple SCs. So, but we do have a spelling correction. There is no E.
yes, correct, and confirming.
So, Um,
The bordure is a little thin, but I don't think it's going to be an issue with regards to registration.
no, I don't think it's that thin enough.
An
Yeah.
artist note would probably suffice in case.
Yeah, that's probably what. If they get any comments on that wreath, that's probably what they'll probably just say, the bordure is a little thin. Make an artist note to draw it thicker.
All right. Let's go ahead and move on to number 6, Kaylin Mac Odun?
Odwin?
Kaylin McOdwin.
Odwin. This is a new badge. We had quite a bit of discussion about this badge. Which I think it ended up with it being conflicted. Is that correct, Bronwyn? Because you had the last comment.
Well, based on what Michael said, we're talking the attires would not count for difference. The tail position would not count for difference. And from a distance, the owl's head and the lion's head would be a little bit difficult to distinguish. And if we don't count just the difference in the heads, we're going to get a DC for fieldlessness, but
Nothing else.
but it doesn't appear. You would think you would, but I'm not sure that this wouldn't conflict. I think he may be right. The wing posture is identical pretty much. The body posture is identical. The tail and the attires would not count, so the only real difference in this is fieldlessness and potentially the head. But a lot of times the head doesn't make a difference. Head position certainly does not.
I mean,
Although if you look at the original badge, which is attached, and you compare it to this one.
Yeah. Well, the owl's head, if it was just an owl's head and a lion's head, there would be a difference because the head would be the only feature. But I'm not really sure about the changes to only the head in a charge that is otherwise identical.
this is where you come into that gray area of constructed monsters.
Right.
Yeah, because I mean, the main thing is, and I think this is where it's causing the most problem is the fact that it's a body of a lion, and so they're going to, from the distance, it's going to look very much the same.
Yeah, they'll probably just think, man, that lion's head is looking a little weird.
Well,
But they'll still think of it in their mind as a lion.
If you look at the drawing, it's very clearly an owl's head, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know whether we ought to send it up and let Laurel make that decision or whether...
I think what I'm going to do, because the submitter actually commented a little bit,
Uh-huh.
and I think what we're going to do is I'm going to contact the submitter and I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to pin it
Uh-huh.
and let you get a chance to get a permission to conflict, just in case.
That might be the way to go. I would hate to hold it back if the head could...
Because, like, in my mind, even looking at the small picture from, a few feet away, it clearly looks like an owl's head to me.
Right.
And the conflicting badge is clearly a lion, even though it's not all that well drawn.
Yeah.
So I think our best action here is pin it, and give them some time to actively get a chance to get a letter to conflict, and that way they know they're safe when they go up into the next stage.
And that way it could be sent up again immediately.
Right.
With a letter of permission to conflict, correct?
Yeah. Get the letter of permission to conflict, and then, as soon as that next kingdom letter goes out, it goes out with it.
When was this badge? This looks like a very old badge because it looks like it was drawn with color.
December 1988.
Ooh. Okay. Good luck in getting hold of the person. But
And they said they were most recently active as of 2016.
oh, well, excellent then.
So there
Yeah,
could
and
be-
there's a precedent which Michael Gerard cited about there not being granted a difference for the type of head between a man and a fox-headed woman. So, I mean,
That's our problem.
change it from,
right there.
yeah, so, I mean, even though those two things are clearly not the same, they're not granting a difference between those two. So
yeah, it's not.
they're probably not going to.
Yeah, just as they don't grant a difference between a head effronti and a head in profile, or regardant and guardant. They don't give a DC for head position, if only the head changes. That's why I think that this is going to be a problem. But if we can get permission to conflict, we've got one DC, and that's all that's required.
Right. So yeah. So I'll contact them personally, let them know, hey, listen, we pinned it for you to get a chance to get a letter of permission to conflict. It won't have to go through Kingdom Commentary again. As soon as you get it, send it to me, and it will go out with the next Kingdom letter. So, all right.
Okay, sorry about me running late, guys.
That's fine.
No worries.
I don't know if you guys have gotten to any of the ones that I worked a little bit on Oscar or not.
Yeah, we got to the one where you did the redraw of the
Lily of the
one with
Valley.
the Lily of the Valley.
And I love it.
Yeah, it looks much better than the original.
Yes,
If you could do
And
me
the colors work better.
if you could actually do me a favor though, if you can get me a black and white version of that, what you drew up there, that way when because I'm gonna send that to the submitter. That way when I send it up to society, they'll have a matching line art copy.
That works. I can do that fairly easily. I will get that done, and I will zip it to you somehow.
Okay. I'll find a just.
I'll ping you in Facebook or something.
Okay. Now, the one thing that I do want to ask before we let this one go, before we let number 6 go, the color seems to be a bit off. It's about the same. It's about the same color as the ore in number 4.
That rhymed.
So I may even, since we got the black and white, I may go ahead and do a color color correction.
Recoloring.
Yeah, a recoloring, and send that to the submitter as well. So, but
While he's waiting on the permission to conflict.
correct. So let me put that in my notes too. All right. I mean, unless anyone else thinks that that's going to be possible. I mean, there is a lot of true yellow being showed in the color copy, but there's about the same amount of that brownish orange.
Yeah. Makes it look camouflage.
Yeah, it kind of does. All right, well, then I'll go ahead, since no one has a yay or nay, I'll go ahead and do a color correction as well. So moving on to number 7, Constancia de la Roche.
De la
Constanza
Rocha.
de la Rocha.
I like that. It kind of just flows when you know how to say it right. A new name and new device. The name, this one, they want no major changes. I just want to make sure that's stated. But they used
name docs checked out.
yeah, name docs checked
I
out.
just looked at them, and they're good, and they're within 27 years of each other. The same culture should be fine.
Okay, matter of fact, yeah, they're even from the same source.
Yeah.
So, all right, so we know the name is good. Let's go on to the device. Argent, a raven striking, and an oral sable.
I really expected this one to conflict.
Well, there might be a conflict.
Yeah,
But
because
the one down here,
There's Saltire, Argent, and Purpure, a Hawk Rising, and an Oral Sable.
which is identical
Because it's
except for
not-
the field.
Right, and because it's in a non-standard posture, they're probably not going to give you a difference between a Raven and a Hawk, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think that there isn't enough of a visual difference for the DC to pass. Because a bird is a bird is a bird, even with it having the
yeah,
Well, visually, they're so similar too.
Uh-huh.
So I think we're going to have to call this one a conflict.
yeah, because really, I mean, really, when you get down to it, about the only thing that really is different is the feet posture.
Yeah, and the angle of the head, but you don't get a difference for head posture.
Right. So
that, and I mean the field. One's completely argent, whereas the other one is per Saltaire argent and pure.
Yeah, so you get the one difference for that, and that's pretty much it.
So this didn't come up in the commentary, but correct me if I'm wrong, but do we have a step from period practice for having a non-raptor striking?
No, it's displayed, I believe, a non-eagle displayed, I know,
Okay.
is a step.
I'm sure, yeah, step from period practice, as far as I know, is only when it comes to eagles displayed and not
but I
being
don't-
non-eagle displayed, I
I
should say.
don't think there's a difference between striking and rising, though.
The wing position is the same. It's just the head is kind of angled more downwards, and the feet are like kind of splayed a little bit, but it's not really that much of a visual difference. In fact, they have the original or the device that it conflicts with is in an image in the comments, and you can see that there's not a whole lot of difference between the two.
and even Michael Gerard is, he supplied us with a whole bunch of precedences and stuff like that, and he's even like Laurel is going back and forth a little bit.
Yeah.
So now from what I'm reading from the conflict is that this was just passed this year, the one that he conflicts with.
So we might be able to get permission to conflict.
I am thinking about giving this person the same courtesy of a pen and say, get that letter permission to conflict, and we can go on.
The one, are you talking about what was the bird positions that you were thinking was conflicting?
Rising and striking.
They are rising, striking, Rosant, and the Coturni versions of these, according to 5A in Cena, are conflicting.
That's what I thought.
Yep. So
yeah.
So
So the only difference we've got here is field.
right. So yeah, so I'll give them the same. I'll give them the same courtesy of a pin, and say, hey, get that letter of conflict.
Now, if they can't get a letter of permission to conflict, they're going to have to add something. Or
Although of all of the precedents that Michael Gerard cited that said there was no DC between a raven and a hawk, the one that did say that there was a difference was the most recent one.
Well, we kind of have to go by the most recent precedents.
I don't see how there is a DC between Raven and Hawk, but they
I
did
don't either.
mention
there's so many different
SC.
precedents that say that there is no difference, and then
Yeah,
you got
that was one of the things that I
might
seen
have
was
slipped
a
through the
big
cracks.
debate. That was one of the things I seen was a big debate, and the SC there's definitely not an SC. I don't know why there would be a DC because of the visual differences at all.
Yeah, and I mean, you can't really tell that that's a raven from a distance.
No.
Yeah, all it is to me looks like is a black bird,
Mm-hmm.
and that's
Could be
one
a
of the
hawk,
biggest
could be a
problems.
falcon, could be whatever, it's.
Yeah, I think we would be safer with a letter to conflict
Yeah.
than we would be anything else.
And if she can't get that, then we'll worry about that.
Yeah, which, like I said, with it being registered just of January of this year, there should be a great chance to do it. So. All right, so we'll give them a pin as well. Moving on to number 8, Christoph De Winter, a new badge. Gyrony, Sable, and Argent, 4 serpents entwined in crossheads, Adorst in chief, and base ghouls. Wow.
There either is a better blazoning for that or something, because I even read that and I was like,
I had to look close to tell they were serpents.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
the original line art for that charge has been registered.
So we do have an instance of this actual charge being registered. Was it blazoned the same way?
Following the link, 4 serpents entwined in crossheads, Adorst in chief, and base Argent. Yeah, that's how it was. That's how it was emblazoned.
All right. Well, that's how Laura wants it then.
And the one thing was there was a comment stating the factor of the charge itself was not centered, and you can kind of see that it's kind of
it's a little low.
centered, tilted or something.
It's a little bit low, and it's a little bit to the left.
Yeah.
But that should just be an artist note. I don't see that really stopping it.
Because
because
the color stands out so much on the black and the white. I don't think it's going to be an issue.
Yeah.
It's not like it's pure on black or vice versa, and doesn't really stand out.
Yeah.
So I think we should be all right. You might get a step from period practice for the arrangement, but
actually, the original submission had an image from a period armory roll with that charge on a piece of armory.
Did it look like the one that we're seeing here?
Yes. If you
have to go see this
link that Magnus posted, it takes you to the previous submission with that charge.
That's actually pretty.
Let's take a look here.
Yeah, shows the motif in Italian armory from the 1550s.
Okay.
That's actually very pretty.
Okay, well, I think that's going to be good then.
Yeah. I think I think they drew theirs to look a little meaner because those looked, a little bit, nicer,
They're Italian, they.
So, but okay. So,
Up we go.
I want to check one thing though. Now the question is, would we have to would we check against snakes or would we check against crosses?
I believe it'd probably be both since it is serpents in a cross shape. Both would probably be the best because I believe there is a type of cross that has that same appearance.
Mm-hmm.
Well, from the original submission, so one of the commenters asked, that would this have be a visual conflict with some forms of crosses? And Bruce said that he didn't think what type of cross this might conflict with, unless perhaps a cross Moline.
No.
And so.
Well, and it definitely doesn't conflict with the original submission. So,
Because the original submission is fieldless, and the snakes are argent.
Correct.
which I'm snagging, by the way.
So we definitely got 2 DCs there. No problem.
That's just too pretty to let go.
And I didn't make it in here fast enough to ask about the Article 3, the number 3, with that tincture issue. Because I made note on that one, because that is a mess in and of itself. So I didn't know what you guys had determined with that.
Yeah, we are going to kick that back to the submitter to...
More clarification and change, see?
Yeah, because one of the tinctures has to be changed to match the other tinctures, or it's just too complex.
Yeah, that complexity count is... it's a bear.
All right. So, given that we can't really, we're going to go ahead and send that up. Moving on to number 9. Elsphinston.
Mm-hmm.
New name and new device.
The name documentation checks out.
It does.
English and Scots can definitely be combined.
Yeah,
and they're within. Let's see. The first one is 1362 and 1607, so
200.
we're good temporarily.
yes.
40 years.
Yeah, well within.
I suspect we could find Elspeth in a Scottish source too.
It's a form of Elizabeth. Okay.
Yes, and Elspeth was popular. That form was popular in Scotland to my recollection. But since this is registrable as it is,
Well, the source is English, but it's northern. It's Durham and Northumberland, so it's practically Scotland.
Yeah.
Don't let an Englishman hear you say that.
Don't let a Scotsman hear you say that either. All right. So we'll go on to the device. Quarterly, Argent, and Azure, two dragonflies. Azure, I believe because they are the same same charge.
Marshall.
Yeah, stop marshaling.
No, it's not marshalling.
Yeah, because there's nothing on the other two quarters, and the charge is the same on these two. So
Right. So.
And they're forced to the white quarters because of their tincture.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct. I was really a little bit surprised not to find a conflict with this, but.
Well, I think with the new marshaling rule, this new marshaling rule that came down, what was it? Sometime this year it came down. That we're not going to find conflicts for a little bit because it's opened up the field a little bit for quarterly, because people used to be scared to do anything quarterly.
Well,
Yeah, for the factor of marshalling.
Yeah, anything quarterly or per pale was was the danger with marshalling.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of the in the SCA Heraldry chat. That's where a lot of the complex line divisions came in handy.
Yeah.
yeah, it's like it's not marshaled if it's a complex line.
Yes.
And sometimes that was a couple of them that just barely skinned by their teeth because you had to change to the complex line.
So we'll go ahead and send both of those up.
Okay.
Number 10, Gaius Grim. The resub. Huh?
Gillis Grim.
Gaius Grim. Resub device. The first one was returned because we could not match the blazon to the emblazon due to the position and sizes of the charges. So they answered back with one, but according to the, but with the way the even then the emblazon did not particularly match the blazon, because with the blazing the snails were primary and the tree was secondary, but the emblazon, due to size, has the tree being
Primary.
primary and the snails done. There was a redraw done, and I believe it resolved that issue.
So those are
Just,
all co-primary charges now.
Yes.
Well, it kind of, yeah, they're either, it makes it to where they're either co-primary or you could, yeah.
They'd have to be co-primary.
Because the oral is a tertiary charge.
Right.
Secondary.
So,
yeah. This was kicked
Do we
back
see-
in March of 2016. Do we have a time limit on resubmissions?
Not at Laurel.
This is kicked back at Kingdom.
Oh, at Kingdom, there was
a year.
after a year you had to pay for it again. That was the
Yeah.
difference.
I received payment for this resubmission.
Just
Okay.
something to make a note of. When you send this up, it's not a device resubmission. It's a new device.
Yeah, it's
'cause
new.
It's never been.
it's never been the Laurel, so.
Yeah.
Correct.
Just wanted to remind you because, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I know I do
Totally.
that. I do that quite frequently.
Yeah, it's only a resubmission.
So it's been like,
at
make a
Kingdom.
note.
Matter of fact, I am. Hold on, wait a minute. What is this? Number 10?
Correct.
Yes.
It is a new submission because it was only a resubmission at Kingdom.
New to Laurel. I am so thankful y'all look out for me like that. I love y'all.
We love you too.
All right, so did anyone see really any? Because I don't think I saw any. Well, Magnus said that there was no conflicts found.
I didn't find any.
You didn't find any?
I didn't either.
Okay, all right. Then we will go on.
Not a whole lot of snail armory.
Well, it's that slow armory. Yeah.
It's slower to pass.
I think they're making political commentary on the submission process.
All right. So we'll go on to number 11. It is a badge fieldless on a snail, conturny, or a gillyflower ghouls.
Yes.
And I have tried and tried and tried to make the gillyflower distinguishable, and it didn't want to play nice.
No, it doesn't want to play nice at all. Although I think the best we have is your last one.
Yeah, I mean, I looked for different gillyflower stencils, and that was about it that I could get, and I resized it some to see if it would help with the edges, and I even went into my templates and grabbed my indented line template to see if I could fix it and make it more distinguishable.
The closest I found conflict-wise was ghouls, a snail, passant to sinister ore. And I don't know how you would determine if the snail was passant, but I guess it has its
schedule. I think they're passant by default.
Something like that. But
you would get a difference for the fieldless and a difference for
the gillyflower,
for the flower.
So all right, so
we're good with that one.
Yeah, I think what helps a little bit is was yours, Katla.
Yeah.
Is that you can see the separations of the petals.
Yeah, that was my biggest thing when I redid it, was the fact that you could not differentiate the petals from the shell spiral. And that's why I went and did it like that, to see if at least the petal separation could be seen. And then it came into the point of the ends of the flowers was my other hang up. I was like, I give up. We'll deal with this at the meeting.
Yeah. I think if we're going to give them any type of help, it's going to be to send in that one that has the largest gillyflower on it.
Yeah, because that was the best I could think to do, was fix it. And if you need me to, I will get a black and white of that one as well.
Please do. And I appreciate you doing these redraws. A lot of heralds out there don't understand that when we need redraws, this is where we need to help the most, because if we can get the redraws in during commentary, then we can carry on quickly with sending things up.
Yeah.
But the snail, I just want to make one small comment.
Okay.
The snail's face is gone on the redraw.
That's true.
Well, that
would be like a
snail was
snail.
Well, the snail, that was actually a snail template that I had found. I cannot remember where I found it at, but I had searched, and it was one of them that I had found. I think that one was actually on Penzic Traceable Art, if I remember correctly.
Because the one in Mistholm has a face. It's got the little protrusions where the mouth is.
So the one
I don't know if it's going to be a difference.
I had thought about it, but I was like, snail is a snail.
It depends on how closely wedded she is to her image, but of the snail's head.
Yes, that is a template that I started with off of Penzic Traceable Art.
Wow.
And I redid the shell because the shell didn't seemingly look and be agreeable with me when I was putting things together, so I redid the shell image.
Hmm. If it's in Penzic, well, then again, there have been things that have been found in Penzic that they're like, don't use that.
Yeah, not all of the images in Penzic traceable art are.
Um,
I'm going to start my screen share up so that I can.
oh, I mean, we believe you. We believe you, dear.
I know. I was just to where you guys can maybe even send a note to about it, because that's the one that I used was on Penzic, and it. I can get it. There we go. But yeah, that's the one that I used. That was in my Penzic traceable art that I looked and found. So. So yeah, I was even a little hesitant because of the difference in the face, but I was like, at least it'll give me something to go with for the gillyflower.
Yeah, I put a link in the chat for the Mist Home entry for the snail.
I want to check one place as well.
Oh yeah,
Because
it does have the extended mouth parts or whatever.
I mean, it's probably not going to be something that they're going to get at Laurel and they're going to kick it back because he doesn't have that. But particularly if the Penzic traceable art doesn't have it, I don't think it'll be a significant omission.
Well, they bounce back
because it's clearly identifiable as a snail, given its slug-like shape and shell.
You're right. Here's the question though. Given what Miss Tom's got there, can we still make the gillyflower identifiable?
I think
it would be a sketchy thing because that's actually what looks like to be the Mistholm one looks like what is initially used.
Yeah, they just flipped it.
And it's flipped by looking at how the shell looks. So I mean, it would be one of those that we could give a shot, but I still would be worried about the gillyflower being identifiable on the shell. We could transpose like face and shell.
That's what I was thinking. Could we take this one shell from the other and put it on the?
That would work.
That I should be able to do fairly quickly and easily. So let me make a copy of that.
All right, because if you weren't, I was going to try to do it. But if you want to go ahead and
I'll go ahead and get it. I'll go ahead and get it, and I'll work on it tonight.
All right.
That's because you are awesome.
Yes, she gets a cookie.
Hey, Mad Dog taught me well. What can I say?
All right, so we're looking at a redraw for number 11. All right, moving on to number 12.
Hedda Harlander.
Yes.
Fun fact, this is number 8's daughter.
Number 8.
Whatever. So.
Oh, Christoph's daughter? Okay.
Christoph's daughter, yeah.
About the only thing that they're really saying is that the family search for Hedda really isn't all that necessary.
No, the first one for Harlander.
So yeah, the first one for Harlander's an eye batch, which is not ideal.
Yeah.
But there's a
SCA heraldry. It does German and English mix.
According to Appendix C.
All right. Well then.
Yeah, because the first name is 16th century English.
Mm-hmm.
the last name should be good. I mean, it's 15th century German, but it would be 16th century English if they borrowed it. Wouldn't necessarily be from the same.
Well, and it's only 3 years off from being a 16th century German name.
Yeah, exactly. And so
yeah,
we're still only talking about 100 years difference.
Yeah, we're looking at what, 102?
Yeah.
I don't think Laurel will skin us for 2 years.
No.
I don't think so either.
Particularly
given that actually, let's double check. If this was a birth, then they would have used the name throughout their period anyways.
Yeah, well, it's a C, and C are usually christenings, if I remember correctly.
Although the last name is the one that we have the issue with.
Yeah.
And that is just German names from Nuremberg. Doesn't necessarily list
Right.
what the source of the records was, unless it's at the bottom.
But yeah, so I mean, Appendix C lets us have it. So,
I think we're good to go to send this one up.
Yeah. So number 12, we'll see society level. Moving on to number 13, Lorik
McLudock.
Yeah. Okay. About the only real
Rick's neck of the woods.
In what neck of the woods?
I believe he's in Thor's Mountain.
Okay.
Yeah. That area of Tennessee.
About the only thing that we're really having any concern about is that the color copy does not, the color correction thing does not register the sun at all. But I mean.
And I can fix that because I do have a sun that I can fix that with.
I don't see how that's hurting the submission, though.
Yeah, because it's clearly visible on both the line drawing and the color version. So it's just Oscar being a
yeah.
Poopy-head.
I love that.
Because basically what it did was it color corrected it to Argent, which it is. So, boom.
Yeah, it does the detailing of the sable lines for the sun kind of got 8.
But that's the color correction thing is just really used to judge whether the colors are
true. They're true colors.
And since both the line drawing and the color drawing clearly show the detailing of the sun, the fact that it disappeared in the color correction, I don't really think that's going to be an issue.
No. So we'll go ahead and send it up as is. Moving on to number 14. Roxana Xanthia. No major changes on the name. So this one had a fair amount of discussion too.
Well, the spelling of the name doesn't have a period reference.
Yeah, it's the Roxana. Yes. They keep they keep coming up with Roshanak and other variants on that, but not Roxana.
Yeah,
Roshana,
and one of the very first comments done by Magnus is that it's not been documented since 2001, and in 2003 ruling appears to bar its registration of evidently that form. By me just gleaning over the very first sentence.
I wish he had given the link to that, unless that's the 2003.
That's probably what he's got.
The April 2003 LOAR.
Yeah.
Yeah. Roxana Farabi.
But the only thing that they're claiming is that Roxana was one of the wife of Alexander the Great.
Except that wasn't the period.
Right, but the name was probably standardized, the spelling, so.
Or modernized at some point.
Which we definitely do not accept modernized spellings.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's documented and says that Siren found what seems to be a non-modernized form of this name, which is Rashana. Yeah, and
the same thing that Magnus found earlier, further up, Roshanak, is what he cited as a feminine name appropriate for 4th century BC Persia or Bactria. So that's the same form that he put in. And she found it too. So if the submitter was willing to go with Shanak as her given name.
I think that would constitute a major change, and she doesn't allow that.
It would.
So in either case, we would have to return it.
Yeah.
Because we can't even send up the device without the name.
Right, and this has got too much floating around to say, would you release so we could do this? Because this one's probably safer just to return and say, send her. I think what I may do is.
Yeah, because the device itself, the sword and arrow part of the device, I'm not good with points going in which direction for swords versus arrows. So my mind went unity of posture.
They're both their default postures. The swords point up and arrows point down. So you wouldn't have to separately blazon them, except for the fact that their orientation is bendwise or.
Yeah, so the blazon could actually be simplified to per bend, argent, and sable, 3 arrows and a sword bendwise counterchanged, instead of them being.
Because you don't have to really specify that they're
both bendwise.
Because they default to the places where they are. Well, no, not necessarily counterchanged.
No,
you would have to specify because
that they're both bendwise. Go figure. I mean.
You'd have to specify in order to make sure.
2 and 1.
Mhm. Well, the arrows.
I mean, about the only way you wouldn't. But the only way you wouldn't have to specify that they were bin wise is if they were actually on the bin.
Yeah.
But they're not on a bin; they're on the field.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to specify that.
They would have to be both specified.
But I don't know that we have to put in bin sinister. Let's see, 3 arrows, sable, and 3 swords.
Just 1 sword.
All bid-wise, because then they would default to the portion of the field where they contrast.
Yeah.
But are we going to have to put something in to indicate that the 3 arrows are an item and the sword is an item? Because otherwise we might have arrow, 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 sword, and something may overlap that line of division and be part black, part white.
Well, it already says 3 arrows, sable, and a sword argent.
Would their colors not?
That's my question is if we made it counter change in the emblazon,
then it would be a little more tricky, because then we wouldn't be as sure where the
Right. When their colors.
It says 3 arrows sable, so it can't overlap the line of division because then it becomes unidentifiable.
Right. Sword argent, same thing. If we blaze them as counter change, then that could be problematical.
Right.
Yeah, because Magnus is the one that.
I was trying to comment on. I was trying to comment on Magnus's suggested blazon, and trying to figure out why.
Oh yeah.
You know, where throwing counter change into that could really just throw a monkey wrench in the gears.
Oh,
yeah, I agree with that.
Because the way they listed up here, their colors kind of force them into those.
Yes. Whereas if you counter change it, like Ulrich was saying, one of the arrows could be on the other side of the line of the division and be argent, which is not what the submitter
Sure
wants.
enough, yeah. That is so liable, yeah. I agree with that one. Because if you do like all of them bin-wise, then you've got where one's going to end up being on the sable side, one will probably be half and half, and yeah. So.
Yeah, so we'll go ahead and. I believe they have it blazing corrected.
Yeah. Or and if Wraith wants to drop out the in bin sinister.
I mean, they can change it to whatever they want it to.
Whatever they want it to be. I think we just leave it the way it is.
Yeah.
Certainly not be the first time that's happened.
Yeah. But it's good to know that we can make a note on their letter return on the letter of return that we went over your device. The device and your blazon is good. We just need something better on Roxanne.
We just can't send it up without a name.
Yeah. So.
Not the name correction.
Well, I mean, we could send it up. They would just kick back the name. And, we can't send it up with a placeholder name.
Oh, that's right.
We can send it up with this name, knowing that it's going to get rejected, and they'll still register the device under a holding name, but then she's going to have to wait potentially another 6 months for a name. So I don't think that's
thing of is it better a month or better 6 months?
Exactly. So I think we're better off just kicking it back and.
Ask the submitter if they
that's a good point. You should ask the submitter if they want to wait or if they just want to change it.
If they want to wait until they can get a name that will pass, or if they want to just go ahead and send it up and get the device registered if it can.
And we don't know. I mean, someone at Laurel may come up with a documentation for Roxana.
It's possible.
Yeah. The one thing that gets me though is him in the document in the commentary it says where this name has been barred. So.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll sync it over because that's to me that's a little cheeky to send up a name we know is going to not work
Point
just to get
taken.
just to get a device. So
Yeah.
all right, so we'll move on to number 15. Forfin's Ma's daughter, Forfina Ma's daughter. It's a new device. I submitted a correction for the dovetail border.
That looks much better.
Yeah, I beefed up the star too a little bit so that it.
Thorfina mentioned the factor it is hers in the chat.
What does she think of the redraw?
She plans to never draw this device herself again, so making others do it for her so it can be pretty.
So evidently,
do you have a thumbs up?
evidently she has no no objections to the redraw.
Okay.
All right, so Fina has no objections to the redraw.
Okay, excellent.
So I'm glad to.
That's quick and
I'm glad I made you happy. That's all.
And I, for one, know that dovetailed can be a pain in the ass unless you do it digitally. Because I actually made a template for this specific placing before.
So, all right. So, was your permission? I have a black and white already, so I'll go ahead and send it up with the. I'll send it up with the redraw.
excellent.
Yay! Yay! All right. So, moving on to the last one on this letter. Tullio Mancini. No major changes on this one.
Checks out.
Okay.
Yes.
There's a 300-year difference between the two names, but I don't think that's
Right.
the issue.
Uh,
Same
From the
culture.
culture.
Michael Gerard is talking about a correction to
They're
the
also from the same city.
Yeah.
what's
They
this
can do
about?
names, they just can't build towers, apparently.
Michael
He's just
Gerard is saying that the adjective is actually Mancino.
it's from the what the submitter had put on the form in the meaning slot. That from the noun Mancino or Mancino.
That would be the masculine.
And he was trying to correct it to an adjective.
But the name is not an adjective. The name is a name.
Yes, but it's
It's
a
supposed to
descriptive
mean
by name.
Right.
left-handed.
But in the source documentation where we got the name from, it's Mancini with an I. So,
Exactly.
And that's listed under masculine names. Okay.
yes.
So, well, if it's listed under masculine names, it's a masculine name. All right. So he will stay Mancini. So. All right, so that clears that letter. We all now switch over to the next letter.
Okay.
Just double checking.
There we go.
Testing.
Hello, hello.
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 Hey, there you
Keenan,
go.
how's it going?
Sorry I'm so late, guys.
No worries.
It's okay.
I know you guys just while you were switching between the letters, a couple things that I wanted to make sure I let everyone know. There's also a really bad echo.
I'm not hearing it.
I'm not hearing it.
I don't hear it either.
Really?
Must be just
Okay.
on your end.
Okay, that's fine. The badge, the owl lion badge.
Mhm.
I'm assuming you guys probably bounced it.
We're going to pin it.
Yeah, if you could pend it, I do have a letter of permission to conflict coming. I contacted Uji, and he's getting it for me by next month.
Yeah, our decision was to pin it in order to get time to get a letter.
Awesome. Yeah,
So-
that should be here next month. He wasn't able to get it in time for this.
And I think that since we've already done the commentary on it, that when you get the letter, you could probably just add it to the next LOI.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say in my notes is that submitter was able to gain a letter to conflict and is attached now.
Okay. And what did you guys?
Let me say one thing though.
For?
We're thinking about doing a color correction on it though.
Okay, but you guys decided that the charge is based off of vert, right? Like, so it shouldn't be a metal on metal issue.
It's field.
Correct.
It's filled us, so. But we're going to make it look more yellow.
Right. Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
So, are you okay with that?
Yeah. No, that's fine. I asked Rachel or Berengaria, and she was okay with that too. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What was the other one that other?
I guess I'll go ahead and check on number 10, Yellis, because she's been waiting on that for a while.
We're doing a
The redraw.
no. Wait a minute. Number 10. Her device.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going up.
The badge needs a redraw, which
Yeah, I was worried about that.
Katla's working on.
Okay. Yeah, that I told her that might be a slight issue, but that's fine.
But there was no issue with the device, and there weren't any conflicts that we found, so that one's going up.
Fantastic. All right. Yeah. Sorry, I'm jumping in so late. I'll head over
You're
to
fine.
the next letter.
But yeah, basically what we're going to do is we're going to use Katla's shell because it and her gillyflower because it allows more
Identifiability of the flower.
Right.
but we're going to use the actual Miss Holmes actual animal.
The snail body.
Awesome.
So, but that's what we're doing with that. Any other questions before we proceed?
No, I'm good. Thanks for catching me up.
You're welcome.
Sure, no worries.
All right. So we're moving on to our second letter, and we're starting again with number 1. I keep wanting to say manager.
It's manager.
Manager bent axe. New name and new device. I believe the name caused some talking back and forth because we
Because it's a surname and not a given name,
Because it's French.
and it's not English.
yeah.
The first given name.
I was hoping-
French by name.
I was hoping that we could piggyback Appendix C into Appendix A. I just had my fingers crossed and hoping that it was going to work.
Well, with the
Oh,
two,
English.
you have manager and you have manager. Use those to justify the spelling of manager with an A.
Well, Bronwyn found an M batch, which is an acceptable English given name. The only problem is that it's different. It's spelled with an E instead of an A.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if that's just gonna create a. But then again, the spelling is what's more.
It's one letter.
What it will give us is it will give us an English spelling of the name.
And an English
Well,
by name can
the
be
two-
used as a given name.
The two family search ones that were provided links for in the commentary, one is spelled manager with an A, and one is spelled manager with an E.
Right.
So we might be able to use that as justification for changing the A to an E, the other A to an E.
The pronunciation would not vary that much either.
Exactly. It would still be pronounced the same. It's just spelled with an E instead of an A.
Mm-hmm.
Saying that we found this name spelt two different ways, there's no reason to suspect that there might be a meeting of the two.
Right.
Well,
Because
he allows minor changes, and changing one letter would be a minor change.
And
true.
What I would suggest is send him both of those and say, hey, if they take issue with the way you're trying to spell it here, and we
what
can't,
would be an acceptable variant?
Which of these variants would you prefer?
Right. Double A or double E? Okay.
The double E would be a slightly stronger documented name. Because the double A is in the gray area.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
1614.
But the other one's 1599. I mean, it's only a 15-year difference. And the 1614 is a marriage document. Well, actually, 1599 is too. But unless they got married at 14, they were born in period.
Yeah. All right, so I'll contact the submitter and say, hey, we can't really mix French and English this way, the way you're wanting to.
Well, is there documentation for French bynames being used as given names? I know in English there is, but I've never really heard of it used.
Well, this is an English persona.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the byname that he's using is French.
Right.
So,
but in order to use a surname as a given name in English, doesn't the surname have to be English?
yes, that's the issue.
So,
but if you use the sources of either like MANAGER or Elizabeth Manager, they're both English. So that
yes, those are good. That's
it kind of solves the French version.
Yeah.
That's why we were saying send the submitter both of those variants to say if we can't justify based on these two spellings changing the E to an A in the original submission, which of these two variants is more acceptable to the submitter, and then include all that in the write-up when we send it up. And yeah.
Lucian, is this one of yours?
No.
Okay, because I was just reading your comment about the double byname.
That was just from the original. Where is it? From the header information, spelling manager Bentac submitter has used this name in the society for many years, and it's a single byname and not a double byname.
well, the English had a tendency to run that sort of thing together anyway. So,
Right.
running it together as BENTAXE might actually be acceptable, but
I'm going to pull the form up.
what we could put in there that he would prefer to have those two names run together, but
Yeah, basically do what I did for Conrad Windhorn's submission. Like I couldn't find the Windhorn as a single name, but I could document both parts as a separate byname, and said, "Hey, the submitter prefers this, so if you can find documentation for this, he prefers that."
and on the
but
form,
this is also
on the form he
acceptable
has
if
it.
you can't find it.
On the form, it has it as separate too. So,
Right.
Well,
and that might be because they weren't able to find the documentation for the single byname.
So,
well, you could add in there that he would prefer Bentax be run together, but that it's documented the way it is because no one was able to find documentation for it.
Yeah, and that's how I did the Windhorn submission. I basically said I couldn't find documentation for this as a single by name.
Right.
I found documentation for it as a double by name. The submitter prefers the single by name, so if anybody out there can find better documentation, and they were able to find it, so
Yeah,
that's how I would approach that.
Yeah, when I contact, I'll ask and make sure what he prefers, because since it's both ways on the form as well, it's still, so yeah, find out what he actually prefers.
Yeah.
All right, so we're contacting the submitter on that one. Going on to number 2. Oh no, we got to do the device. Azure a PAL a PAL issued from Dexter Base Argent, overall a Compass Star, and a Canton, and in Canton a Winged Axe 4.
It's also a bearded axe.
It's a really interesting looking device.
So every period instance that I've seen of an inanimate object with wings, it's always been displayed. And this is clearly not displayed. So would that be another step from period practice?
Ooh.
I don't know.
And if so, that would give it 2 because the Compass Star is also a step from period practice.
How would you display a bearded axe like that? Because the axe head would overhang the wings unless you set the wings really low down on the shaft.
Well, you wouldn't.
Tiny, tiny wings.
Because like I said, all of the period armory that I've seen that has objects with wings, they're always displayed. I've never seen one with. What posture is this, anyways?
And from a distance, that axe almost looks like a double-headed axe or an axe with a hammer on the end. I mean, like, it's hard to tell the wings from a distance too.
Yeah.
Because you don't have that splayed posture.
Even for me, it's one of those axes small.
Yeah. I don't know.
Depending at a distance, it would probably just look like a gold blob in the corner.
Do we have any precedents about winged objects?
Being single winged?
Or having the wings off to one side in this?
The only period examples of inanimate objects with wings that are not displayed are shoes.
Like the shoes of Mercury?
Yes.
I would almost call this a test case because I don't know if I've ever seen it. I mean, I didn't notice it until you mentioned it, but I don't think I've ever seen an inanimate object.
Yeah, it'd be a good thing to send up to, to ask the question: is there another step for period practice for for the wings not being displayed?
Are there actually 2 wings there, or is that one wing?
Well,
there is actually 2 wings, but it's hard to
There
see.
are 2 wings, but they're endorsed, and you can't.
Oh, okay, yeah, I see. There's like a little line there. Okay, I thought that was just interior detailing.
I don't know. My initial hesitation is mostly on the visual of it. I think with the wings there,
it's hard to tell what it is because it's tiny.
If it was like the main charge and big, it wouldn't be a big deal. But
I mean, when you blow it up, it's a little bit more identifiable. But when you're just looking at it normally, it's like, the hell is that?
Yeah. I wonder why. It's probably there because they just really like the bearded winged axe. But I mean, without that, it would be great. It looks like it would. It would be a fantastic device without the Canton winged axe.
Well, I imagine it's probably the axe is there because he's canting his arms. But
yeah, fantastic.
You would think it would be the main charge if that was the case. And if it was the main charge instead of the compass star, it would be a lot more identifiable.
Yeah. I mean,
Maybe he should switch those and put the compass star in Canton.
Yeah, that'd be a cooler device.
Yeah, because it would make it stand out a lot more too.
Yeah, switching them to where the bearded, the winged axe was the primary and the compass.
Yeah.
Yeah, because even smaller, the compass star is still going to be identifiable as a compass star.
Yeah.
And the
that said, I'm not sure we have anything we can hard bounce on this.
No. And I like the idea of a test case because I would like that. I would like that knowledge on whether or not that's another. If that's a misnomer. Having the wings of Dorse like that.
Yeah.
So we'll go ahead and send it up as a test case. All right. So going on to number 2, we have Siegfried Grunwald.
Grunwald, yes.
Grunwald. This is
Green. It means Greenwood in German.
Yep, he's right here.
No major changes. For the name, there is no batch letter. Is that just a typo cipher?
That's weird. There was
looking now in the.
Well, Siegfried is definitely a.
It is a C batch, so we're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
The batch number is.
Yeah. Apparently, I just missed that.
Right, and the names are within.
No, it's not on the form.
Yeah.
It's not on the form either, so you didn't miss it.
Yeah.
I did miss it because I made that form.
Oh, you made the form. Okay.
The batch number is on there. It's just you left off the C. It's C9035-1.
Okay.
So it might have just
That
missed
can
it.
correct it.
Yeah.
It got clipped when
Just
you
the name
cut and pasted
elements are within.
I did make sure to ask Adelaide. Okay, which batches am I allowed to use again?
Yeah, C batch is one of the ones that's good. So
I have since made a list.
There is.
they have a list in Sena.
Yeah, somewhere on the I think the appendix pages or something like that.
Yeah, but there's like 37 of those.
Yeah, it's hard to remember.
It's hard to find things in the appendices in Cena sometimes.
A lot of times I
just control F everything.
Well, usually I go to Google and I say family search batch SCA and it takes me right to it.
Yeah, I do this similar. I do SCA family search precedent.
Yeah. All right. So going on with the name.
The elements are within 20 years of each other.
But Magnus is saying that the period form of spelling is with an E, S-I-E.
I'm using gray area documentation because that's the spelling that he wanted on the original name form.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my way to find that name with the spelling that he requested.
Mm-hmm.
It's
well, if that's
Well, Magnus says the usual period spelling. He doesn't say the only period spelling.
correct.
and you have documentation for this version, and it's acceptable per the rules. So
Right.
we should be good to go.
So, yeah, because it's within gray period is was a source that we use and trust. Well, I don't know about trust, but the source that we say we can use. So we'll go ahead. So name's good. We'll send it up as is. So moving on to the device, Argent. 3 fir trees eradicated proper and a border per pale, ghouls, and sable.
I don't see any style problems with it, and I didn't find any conflicts.
Yeah, I can't see any conflicts either.
Does that mean I did good?
Yes, you get cookie.
Yeah,
Yay.
Yeah, because the closest one I was able to find had 2 DCs. So
Yeah.
right, and the closest I was able to find was Argent, 3 pine trees, cooped and aboard your sable, that's got 2
yeah,
at least.
All right, so number
'cause
2
you got
is,
one for the trees and one for the border.
Right.
so number 2 is going up. All right, so now we move on to all of South Downs.
Yes. here
All of the South Downs.
Yay! That's all of it.
All right.
Lorenzo will kill me.
I have a feeling I'm glad that I was looking at the letter and not the video. So, Barony of South Downs had what?
4 badges.
4 badges that they're wanting.
5 badges.
Five
badges.
badges that they're wanting to do.
You don't need no stinking badges.
And
You can tell that to Lorenzo if you want, Lucien.
Hey, I spent all. You would not believe how much time I spent on these damn things. So
I believe it.
they're going up.
I believe it.
they look
I gotta kill somebody.
they look nice. My
Yeah.
only question is I was reading in the commentary. What one was it?
I just want to know what they were all being used for.
Right, but it was something from Lucian. Yeah, it's on the first one, second to last comment. So, are their service awards not registered right now?
Nope. The only one that's registered is the Order of the Red Raven, which is their
Yes.
It should be noted that Thor's Mountain has the same problem that I'm going to be working on.
Yeah, these are non-armigerous awards. They're just basically baronial attaboys, but
Okay.
they wanted to because His Excellency Baron Lorenzo has actually made some medallions for these awards. They wanted to get the images protected.
Part of the problem is they've been giving away these non-armigerous attaboys for years, but they keep getting them confused about what they're for.
Well, every time we get a new Baron and Baroness, they change the color scheme, and
so they want to
there's
register
no continuity.
these. Yeah, they want to register these so that they'll be locked in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because if somebody got an Azure Tower, well, one time it might have been for fighting, and another time it might have been for arts and sciences. They don't even know anymore. So they're trying to lock them in, I guess.
Give enough of a differentiation between the different awards so that you know what they're for when you get them.
It's great that they found so many with that same kind of scheme minus the primary charge without any conflicts. That's pretty cool.
Yes.
Yeah, because we'll go ahead. Because I think just about all of them said that they were no conflicts. That they didn't find any conflicts.
Yeah, the closest one was number 5, the Phoenix one, and we got a DC for adding the Bordure and a DC for changing the tincture of the flames,
Which is half the charge. So, but just for the entertainment of those out there on the interweb, the first one is per pale, sable, and azure, a falcon's head hooded and erased, and on a border embattled argent. This is where we had the main because one person, I think one person was even saying, hey, I don't think you're allowed to register this many at this, this many arms at one time or something like that.
Well, they were thinking that you were registering a whole bunch of things that weren't needed for specific purposes. I think was the comment.
Yeah.
It says submissions should be limited to meet current or identified need. Excessive submissions with no clearly identified purposes may be returned.
Right.
And I provided that, there's 5 different local service awards, and I listed what the 5 awards were for.
Yeah, and I'm going to add that into my notes for each, is that they're being submitted due to creating continuity within service awards within the barony, or something like that. Like we just said earlier.
Yeah.
They already have like the name of the awards that go with each of these. Like they already have that like listed out, or are they still deciding on those?
They're still deciding on those. So we wanted to go ahead and get the badges registered first, so that the imagery was protected, because the award name can be changed to something that's registerable. Because a few of the ones that were initially proposed are probably not going to fly.
All right.
So, as a compromise, I suggested that we just register the badges directly to the barony, and we could fix the award names later.
Yeah.
Okay.
So is number 4 the Order of the Argent drumstick?
It's the Order of the Argent chicken leg.
Chicken foot.
All right. So number 4 is Per Pale, Sable, and Azure, a Falcon's Leg Coot a la Geis.
Please.
And a Border Embattled Argent. Why couldn't the rest of the world speak English at that time? Really, that would help me out so much.
Why couldn't you just speak French?
It could be worse.
I don't
actually, at the time, most people spoke French, so it wouldn't have been an issue for them.
But I speak Southern North American, and
Right, but we're recreating the Middle Ages, not Southern American. So.
Gee.
Well, just think they could have all been speaking Gaelic, and then think of the problems we have.
Oh God, I don't even want to think about that.
Number 5, Per Pale.
For days.
Per Pale, Sable, and Azure, a Phoenix and a Border Embattled Argent. Number 6, Per Pale, Sable, and Azure, a Sinister Wing and a Border Embattled Argent. 7, Prepared Sable, Per Pale, Sable, and Azure, a Swan, Nayant, and a Border Embattled Argent. Again, we found no conflicts with these.
No ducks.
Yep. So we'll go ahead and send those up, stating the intent of registering these badges and stuff. So we will. That brings us to the end, ladies and gentlemen. And we did this within 2 hours. So I'm going to say goodbye to all those out there on the interweb. Thank you for joining us and viewing along. Hope you all learned something. You take a wonderful evening. Say goodbye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.